Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for logging into the third contact class for the Diploma in Cyber Law program. In this class, we're going to be discussing intellectual property rights in cyberspace in India. As usual, basic instructions. If you have any questions or queries, please type it and send it across to us. But give me some time to respond to it because while I'm teaching, I will not be able to look at the messages simultaneously and respond live. So give me a little bit of time. Let me have a look at the questions, and then maybe we'll dedicate the last part of our discussion to answering questions and queries that you might have. So this lecture is basically about discussing the overlapping area of law between intellectual property and information technology. It is a very important area of law. It is really coming up in India because of the popularity of the internet and the use of the internet in various aspects of our life, starting from the use of Instagram to torrent sites, to the violation of copyright through YouTube or trademark disputes online. So it's a very important field. And before we begin, I would like to give you a list of websites that you should use as resources, primarily because books are a basic source of information that we have. So you have your book 3 with you, which will deal with the basic ideas under intellectual property, which we feel are important. But above and beyond this, you also need other resources to keep in touch with whatever's happening latest in the field of intellectual property. This can be done through the following websites. The first and a very important website, which I personally refer to almost every day, is this website called spicyip.com. Now, spicyip.com, you'll see it coming up on your screen very soon. Spicyip.com is a website which was started off by this gentleman called Shamnath Bashir. He's one of the first batch graduates of National Law School, Bangalore. Fabulous website, exceptional content, very good and simple writing style. They put up information about intellectual property and information technology very, very regularly and make it very easy for the audience to understand. Even for people from a non-legal background. Now, the second website that I want you to have a look at is bananaip.com. This is also on a similar footing, but bananaip.com, however, is a website which is run by lawyers. It's primarily a legal site, but it also has a lot of information and articles written on concepts relating to copyrights and patents and trademarks and geographical indications and so on and so forth. The third website, extremely important, very, very popular, is the WIPO.org website. The WIPO.org website basically stands for the World Intellectual Property Organization. As the name itself suggests, it is the be-all and end-all of everything that happens in intellectual property the world over. So at any point of time, if you have any queries of a generic nature from an international perspective, WIPO happens to be the most updated, most regular and most reliable source for information about intellectual property. Then, the next website which you should refer to is, the website is, just give me a second, please. Yes, the next website you should refer to is ipindia.nic.in. I'll just change this one. ipindia.nic.in is a Government of India website which deals with various forms and aspects of intellectual property. It has separate sections dedicated to copyrights and trademarks and geographical indications and designs. It basically will give you all the information that you need from an Indian perspective on what the law is, what the rules and regulations are, and what changes happen periodically in this field. There. Last but not the least, I also want you to refer to this website called registry.in. This is a website which basically deals with domain name disputes and domain name disputes specifically from an Indian perspective. What are domain name disputes? What kind of domain name disputes are happening in India right now? How are the cases being dealt with? What are the pending cases? What are the judgments which have already been passed? It's a one-stop resource for all aspects relating to domain name disputes in India. Now, let's begin with the class in itself and the concept of intellectual property. Intellectual property is basically any property that has been created by application of the human intellect. Now, this basically means that the definition, and I'm creating a very basic and wide definition for you to understand a generic perspective on it. Now, if I say any property that has been created by application of the human intellect, everything that is there in and around me in this room and on me as a person can fall within the ambit of intellectual property. This watch, the mic that I have on my t-shirt in itself, the chair that I'm sitting on, the laptop that I'm using to record this lecture, the phone that I'm using to record the audio, the table that I'm sitting on, all of this is content which has been created by application of the human mind and therefore can become a subject of intellectual property. However, just because it becomes a subject of intellectual property, that does not mean it can be protected by intellectual property law. What comes under intellectual property and what may be protected by intellectual property law are two separate concepts. We will be dealing with this in detail as the lecture goes on. But primarily, what I need all of you to understand is this is not a lecture on intellectual property. It is a lecture on the part that overlaps with information technology. Where does intellectual property become relevant enough to discuss in cyberspace? Let's take an example. If, let's say, you have uploaded a video of Avengers Endgame. Shashank, what is the video that what is the movie? Avengers Endgame?
Yeah.
That's the latest one. Is it the one that's going to come out, or is it the one?
It's about to come out.
It's about to come out. So Avengers Endgame, as you know, is about to be released in the next week or so, week or 2 weeks or so. Now let's presume that you happen to get a pirated copy of it and you release it online. Now imagine the kind of monetary loss it's going to cause Marvel if this gets leaked before the date of release in the theaters, and the kind of the number of people who will be willing to have a look at it, because it's a movie that's been anticipated for over a year since the first part of it came out. Now, this brings into aspect concepts relating to copyright violation because the ownership of this movie lies with Marvel. It, however, falls into the however, also falls into the ambit of cyberspace because this content is going to be uploaded onto a torrent site, most probably, from where people will be illegally downloading it. Now, this will lead to potentially a litigation where somebody will file an injunction suit asking either for the content to be brought down or the website in itself to be stopped or shut down. Now, all of these aspects will be discussed in this book. It will also discuss aspects relating to the problems of trademark violations online. Now, just to give you an example, there was a very not so popular movie that came out a few years back. I think in 2017, it was called Tera Intezar. Now, this is a movie which had Sunny Leone as the lead female protagonist and Arbaz Khan as the male protagonist. But the controversy in this movie started off with an item number which had Sunny Leone in it, obviously, with the title Sexy Barbie Girl. Now, Leo Mattel, who are the manufacturers of the Barbie toy, decided to file a case against Tera Intezar, saying that it is spoiling the reputation of that trademark. It's sexualizing Barbie, basically. So they filed a case against Tera Intezar asking for an injunction just before the movie was about to be released. And there's a lot that happened. The judgment is available online for you to have a look at. Basically, it's a judgment which was passed in the Delhi High Court by Justice Rajiv Sahai Endlaw. In the judgment, he actually speaks in depth about the idea of the reputation of Barbie and the fact that sexualization of Barbie has actually happened prior to this song also. If you remember, there's a song called I'm a Barbie Girl by this band called Aqua, way back when I was much younger at that point of time when it came out. It has slightly provocative lyrics and is shot in a slightly provocative manner as well. So they were talking about the fact that if that's the judgment talks about the fact that the sexualization of Barbie has already happened, and the honorable judge actually takes the readers of the judgment back to a case which had been filed on a similar ground by Leo Mattel, and they had lost. Now, over here, we're talking about, again, trademark violation in terms of Leo Mattel filing the case on the reputation of Barbie against an organization which has created a movie which has an item number or a song titled with the name Barbie. Now, if you see, this is an overlapping area because we've got trademark, we've got copyright, we've got cyberspace, and a combination of all of this brings it within the context of this subject. We're going to be going into the details of this case also when we take up trademark law and its application. For now, let's begin with the concept of copyright.
Hey, if you enjoyed that video, please make sure to hit that like button. We'd really appreciate it. Also, we at ASTL are always making fresh content from the cyber world. And if you want to stay updated about it, please make sure to hit that subscribe button and the bell icon. Thanks.